Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. We're going to talk about gear, camera gear for commercial filmmaking. For the last, I think about 5 years, we've been using the Ursa G2. We have 2 of these. We also have a Pocket 6K from Blackmagic Design. And this is mainly paired with the Dezo film lenses. This is the 20 to 55 2.8. I'm not going to go over all the features of this camera because this is a video about selling this gear and moving over to a mirrorless hybrid setup that is more appropriate for our photo and video work. Technology has just come so far in the last 5 years, and anytime new cameras get released, doesn't matter what brand, Nikon, Sony, even Fujifilm, and obviously Canon, Blackmagic Design, there are so many cameras that have been released where we watch and go, oh man, that looks really interesting, we should jump on that. But we've stayed true to this setup for the last 5 years, and honestly it's been a wonderful camera. It's literally never let us down. I think there was one time a card corrupted, and we've shot in a whole variety of different spaces. So I would highly recommend the Ursa G2 if that's what you were wanting. But you can see how heavy this is, and so because we've built it out, this is actually a lighter version. Sometimes we even have additional units like a wireless monitor, transmitter, but you can see that it needs an easy rig to really utilize the weight of this camera, because once the easy rig's on, you can obviously hang it from a string, and that pendulum effect is really nice. It doesn't have any in-body image stabilization. It also doesn't have autofocus, so everything's manual. And for us as a production company, and this is the key thing that we've discovered, is we, for our type of work, don't necessarily need this setup. But because we have this setup, every time we take on a job, we take this setup to the job because that's what we have. And we're actually trying to fit a square peg in a round hole a lot of the times. And this camera simply is just not necessary for a lot of the projects. For example, what we're filming this video on right now is the Canon R5 Mark II. Tim's just literally hand holding it and walking around. It has image and body stabilization, it's got autofocus. And so for the purpose of this YouTube video, we would be tempted, if this is all we had, to shoot with this, and sure, the image quality would be nice and buttery, but at the end of the day, it's just, this video is about communicating information. And so you really need gear that is suited for the project that you're shooting. And that's why we're considering selling all of our Ursa gear, all of this big rig gear, and moving over to the likes of the Canon mirrorless system. Now, Canon have some really great photography cameras, really great cinema cameras, and we're looking at a few options to try and consolidate all of our gear down to one set of lenses, the RF lenses, which is the mirrorless line of lenses, and just using a couple of bodies to do all of our photography work and all of our video work. And so that's what we're considering. We wanted just to let you know that because I think it's important to talk about gear, but in the context of the projects that you're delivering. A lot of the time you could look at something like this and think, man, this is the dream to have, you know, a rigged out cinema camera, but it might not actually be suitable for the type of work that you're doing. For example, if we had to shoot a sporting match, this would be great for some behind the scenes documentary style coverage where we're capturing crowds and different maybe interviews with key people. But if we were trying to get long shots, to put a long lens on this, we could put something like this, the 70 to 200, but even this would be a bit short, so we'd need a longer lens. But to put this on the Ursa right now would take me probably 10-15 minutes to get rid of the matte box, to change the mount, to put this on as an EF lens. And so we want something that's more flexible, that we can put in a bag and really capture documentary style content, which is what we're trying to do as a company. So for documentary work, nimbility, if that's a word, is the name of the game. So being light and nimble to get access to spaces to be able to capture content is the most important thing. And so obviously documentary, you need to be in the space documenting the moment. And that is why this camera, which is the Canon R5 Mark II, is a really great option. So this is the Canon R5 Mark II that was just being used to film that talking head. You can see it's a much lighter camera, it's got autofocus, it shoots relatively nice video, and it does the trick for what you need it for this particular YouTube video. And this is an example of just using the gear that you have. You might have this if you're a stills photographer. We have one aperture light shining into the ceiling that's lighting the room, and a simple camera setup.
So one thing that we have been talking about is moving to an entire Canon ecosystem, because we do a lot of hybrid work where we're shooting photo and video on set. Then if we can have the lenses be interchangeable across both of them, it just gives us more options. So we are looking at the Canon C400 to be our cinema camera. Still gives us all the options to be able to rig out if we need to rig it out, but it means that we can go way lighter and still have all the RF interchangeable lenses for stills and video. So currently we're thinking about the 28-70 f2, the 70-200 2.8, the R5 Mark II, which Joshua is now filming on, the C400 for the video. And then we're also considering, in terms of another stills camera, the R1, to be able to give us access into shooting some of the sporting events and some of those high-pace events as well. The R1 does shoot beautiful video as well, so there is the option to be able to use that within the video ecosystem. And then also as a hybrid shooter, we can do stills and video as well. The C400 is exclusively video, so that would be our primary video camera, or our A cam, and then we can use the R1, the R5 Mark II as B cam options, and simply just the nature of it gives you the ability to get shots that you otherwise wouldn't be able to get with a big chunky heavy camera. Shots like that.
There is no way you'd be able to capture this type of shot here using our current setup with the Ursa.
Some might argue, why on earth would you want to use that shot? Canon is super robust and reliable. They are not necessarily paving the way in terms of technology. I think Sony and Fuji are doing some really great spaces in that, but Canon sort of sit back, and when they release something, it is just rock solid, reliable, and it is just an absolute workhorse. So hence why we're going with Canon.
You can do like these cool, hold on,
dolly zooms. One other thing I will say is rocking up on set with a massive cinema rig can be really intimidating for a lot of people who don't spend time presenting in front of camera, or even just being in front of camera in general. So if we're able to arrive on set and have just a way smaller rig, even the R5 Mark II, and be able to capture audio, you can almost just blend into the background. Either myself or Joshua could just be slightly off to the side, interviewing, asking questions, and the small rig just blends into the background and just helps the talent feel way more or way less self-conscious on set, and can actually just deliver a better performance. So
one thing that would be cool to try right now is I'll be a director, literally with this R5 Mark II. We've got the 16-35mm 2.8 EF lens adapted to the RF body, and I'll just do an interview of you.
Great.
And just pretend you're a photographer.
Okay.
And I'll interview you. And this is fully live. So again, we've just got one light, bouncing that into the roof. I'm gonna bounce it over to the left-hand side. So there's a bit of, actually,
go into the door.
We'll go into the door here, like this. This is very live. So you can see that light is bouncing, nice key light down this side. And it also accentuates this natural window light, so it feels a little bit natural. And we'll shoot into the shadow side.
Hi, my name's Tim Williams. I am a professional photographer based here in sunny Nelson. I've been I've been a professional photographer now for 17 years. Started my career on Canon and have been on Canon ever since.
Can you just do another version of that?
Just to cut between.
Yeah, and we'll cut this into that same sequence. Go for it.
Hi, my name's Tim Williams. I'm a working professional photographer here in sunny Nelson. I've been a professional photographer now for roughly 17 years.
Cool, okay, that's 2 angles. Let's do one more. So we're just gonna get a tighter shot on the 50mm and yeah, introduce yourself.
Hey, my name's Tim Williams. I'm a professional photographer here based in sunny Nelson. I've been a professional photographer now for roughly 17 years and have spent my entire career in the Canon ecosystem, starting with the 1DS Mark II.
So that was 3 different angles within 3 minutes. Didn't have to do anything. I was just hand holding it. Autofocus was set up, automatically getting focus on Tim's face. And because we were using the 16 to 35mm lens, I was able to zoom in, zoom out. I did swap to the 50mm for that last shot and that last frame. But the beauty of a system like this is how fast you can work.
Obviously, you can see just how quickly you can get the coverage of one scene through just the ability to move the camera. And it just gives you so much more options in post.
Options like this. So, this is a video to say that we're seriously considering selling all of our cinema gear and moving over to a mirrorless setup.
So Canon, if you're watching this and you want to give us some gear,
hook us up. Yeah. One more thing I need to mention about the primary reason we're considering the likes of, say, the R1 and the RF lenses, the L lenses, is you can be out in the pouring rain in any environment and still capture really great content without having to worry about your gear. The amount of times I've been outside with audio gear or with the Ursa and had to wrap it in plastic bags. We shot an entire documentary pretty much primarily on sea farms and boats, and that was just a nightmare dealing with that. So the weather sealedness, I think, is something not to underrate, and that's definitely going into our decision making.
So there you have it. That's our little ramble on why we're looking at switching over to the Canon ecosystem. If you're a hybrid shooter and you're shooting at a high level and you're on Canon or you're on another ecosystem, we would love to hear your thoughts on what you think about this video and what you think about our thoughts on switching to Canon. So drop us a line, drop us a comment, and we'd love to hear from you. Other than that, stay tuned for the next video and we look forward to seeing you there on the next one.
I'm gonna let this roll.
Okay. I just don't know what to do with myself now.